Great. Thanks. Yeah. So for the folks watching in later, I'll flash it again. First of the series of 7. And all of them are free. Folks should have had the opportunity to opt in for a meal voucher, $15 meal voucher when you registered. If you did not get an email from Hannah and you think you should have to take advantage of that, she's here and you can message her or follow up later. But again, thanks to Cooperative Development Foundation for allowing that to happen. Great, cool. Really excited about tonight's session. Again, it'll go till 7 o'clock. We've got Kate and Dami with us to talk about capitalizing for cooperatives, capitalizing your co-op's next big move. And I will open it to you all to say more about yourselves and if you want to hear from who here is in the room, you do that too.
Thanks, Autumn. Well, maybe I'll start and then I'll pass it over to Dami. So, hey everybody, my name is Kate Khatib. I am based in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a worker owner at a co-op here, which is called Red Emma's, which is a restaurant and bookstore that's been around for a little over 20 years. I'm also the co-executive director of a financial cooperative that is called Seed Commons. Seed Commons is we're a national cooperatively governed CDFI, we're a community development finance institution. And we provide loans, very high touch technical assistance, cooperative development support for hundreds of cooperatives across the United States and Canada. Yeah, we'll get in a few minutes. We'll get in a little bit more to what kinds of financial products we provide and how we go about doing that work. Before I start going deep, I'll pass it over to Dami to introduce himself.
Hi everyone. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Dami. I work as a business development officer for the National Co-op Bank. I am not a worker owner of Red Emma's or something that cool. Maybe someday very soon I'll do that. But right now I I work for the bank, and what we do is we try to provide financing for co-ops across the country. Recently, 2 Fridays ago, we had an employee meeting, and one of the things I told my CEO is, it will be very nice in these times for you to have somebody read our mission. Why were we created in the first place? Because, sometimes we forget why we were. NCB was seeded with $50 million in 1978. Now we're 4 billion on the balance sheet and like 10 billion with our investments under management or assets under management. We're owned by 3,400 members. So it's easy to forget your humble beginnings when you grow this big. And now we're regulated like the same way Bank of America is regulated. Not because we're that big, but because we do complicated, sexy stuff. Sorry for my choice of words, but that's what we do. Co-ops is sexy. Yeah, so we were created to find financial solutions for co-ops, because back then co-ops were not being financed so by conventional banks and all that good stuff. So as Kate said, we'll get deeper into what we offer, how we offer them, who we support. I mean, if you're a worker co-op, if you're a purchasing co-op, if you're a consumer co-op, any kind of co-op, we're here for you. And then we'll talk about the products later on. And also, we'd like to get to know everybody here, since we're an intimate group.
Yeah, can we open the floor for folks to maybe introduce yourselves? If you're working on a cooperative project, we'd love to hear what it is. And we'd also love to hear from you what you're hoping to take away from this session, or what you're hoping to learn in this session, so that we can kind of tailor what we're presenting. Because we could talk for a long time about financing. There's a lot to say, and we're really passionate about the work that we do. But we want to make sure we're giving you something that's useful to you. So Melissa, I see you raised your hand. You want to go first?
Sure. Am I muted or unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Okay. I am Melissa Hoople. I'm with Northwest Pennsylvania. Oh yeah. All of a sudden I'm like nervous, and I'm usually not. Autumn, help me here.
Investment cooperative,
I know it's like, and
our incoming secretary.
I think I am. So anyway, I'm on the board, and we purchase, renovate, and or maintain commercial buildings and lease them to entrepreneurs and social organizations. We have one building, and we look at other buildings, and it has to be the entrepreneurs or organizations have to be ready to be tenants, and we have to be ready to purchase the building. So we're working on some other exciting things right now, hoping they will work. That's it.
That's great. Thank you. That was great. You have no reason to be nervous.
It just was.
Who'd like to go next? Anybody else willing to unmute yourself and say hello and share what you're working on?
Sure.
Go for
Hi,
it.
I'm James. I work for Common Roots, when we do lots of things. However, I am the director of housing services, and I don't run it, but like I oversee a renting cooperative. And yeah, so yeah, it's pretty cool. The folks we're a community land trust, so like we own the land, but we kind of like lease the building to them. They take care of it, everything like that, and they can earn equity by paying rent on time, participating in monthly meetings, and taking care of the property. $10,000 over 10 years. We borrowed the idea from renting partnerships in Cincinnati. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty cool. We have two right now. We have a 4-unit and a 2-unit, and we're about ready to open up a 3-unit. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'm just here to um, do this series and learn more about cooperatives in general. Like, I always, you know, thought co-ops were the cool things that hippies did, back in the day. So, like, oh, we're all gonna, live off the land and take care of it ourselves. We'll all own it. And like that idea always seemed really cool to me. But but getting to see like all the different ways that cooperatives can be uh, used, and different, ideas people have for cooperatives. So I'm just really here to learn. We're going to start a home ownership cooperative coming up, where, like not quite like a homeowners association, but everybody like pitches in and then they'll be able to share like money for maintenance and stuff like that. And we're still trying to develop that out and everything like that, how that's going to work. So I'm hoping to learn a whole lot, and yeah, take that back and use it at work. So thank you all for having this.
Awesome. Thank you. And it's Common Roots in Meadville, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Autumn's our girl.
Cool. Thank you. Anybody else willing to intro yourselves?
I could speak quickly.
That'd be great.
My name is Lacey Molesky. I also work at Common Roots in Meadville, Pennsylvania. So I'm a co-worker with James. I was just hired as a cooperative developer. I did attend a conference that was only held once every 5 years last week, and focused on self-help housing. So I will be, as the cooperative developer, helping recruit people, let them know what it would be about, the benefits, having like the longevity, the community. So I'm here basically to be a sponge and learn as much as I can about cooperatives, just so that I can then be able to, as my job, like even help develop other roles and assist others. So we're hoping to have 7 homes. That will be the goal.
Very cool. Thank you. Welcome. Anybody else want to
Oh,
intro yourself?
I can introduce myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I am Autumn Solomon. I am on the Cooperative Council of the Carolinas. We just changed our name from the Cooperative Council of North Carolina to the Cooperative Council of the Carolinas. And then I also, my full-time job is I work at a credit union doing business development. Would love to be fully in the fully in more co-op space, with working with startups and grocery change and things like that. But for the time being, I'm at a credit union, which is still fantastic. I would love to learn more about the process of starting co-ops so that I can help our members at the Cooperative Council as we continue to grow our membership. And then this is my child. This is the tiny human. Her name is Amelia. And anytime I'm on a meeting, she insists. Oh, her name is Amelia Bedelia. Time I am on a Zoom, she must be in my lap.
I totally know that feeling. Mine is bigger than that now, but he was with me all through Zoom and all through COVID and all the meetings going virtual. So well, welcome. It's great to have you here. Couple more folks on the call. Anybody else willing to give an intro? Tell us about your project.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anthony, and I am trying to start a co-op for agroforestry. So I learned about this through Noemi's previous talk, like last week, I think. Yeah, it's something that interests me, like a multi-stakeholder, where like we're helping with like growing trees and shrubs and working with people who would like, want to have the food from those forests. So we're like finding a lot of interested landowners who would want to have like a nursery network. And so then that way it lowers the transportation costs for native plants. And so I'm trying to see how to make that model work in a cooperative that, maybe is like multi-stakeholder members who are workers, owners of land, and like, yeah, figure that all out. Yeah, it's really cool though. Thank you again.
Where are you based?
Yes, I'm currently in DC, and we're an LLC based in Maryland. We're looking at trying to have like a nonprofit from 1992 be maybe like a managing board for the LLC.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we don't know what we're really doing, but we feel like we're following our intuition through all this. But it's fun, yeah. But yeah,
Totally.
looking forward to like really making it solid before like
Yeah.
really making it,
There are a bunch of folks that are working on projects that are kind of in that space. I see that Matt is suggesting Connect because they're working with a group in Pennsylvania that's doing that. There's another group in DC called Swamp Rose Cooperative that might be a worthwhile connect for you if you haven't connected with them yet. Happy to help make that connection. Cool. Anybody else want to intro yourself and your cooperative project? I know there's some KDC staff on the call as well.
I'll just say hello briefly. This is Noemi Gishpence, the real Noemi Gishpence, the original. As some of you who signed up through the Google Sheet got a calendar invite and so showed up looking like me, but you're very welcome here, and I'm so excited to hear from Kate and Dami. And we have one new person who just joined. Crystal, I don't want to put you on the spot. Okay, you'll introduce in the chat. Thanks, Crystal. That'd be great. Just a little bit about what co-op or co-op project you're with. Thanks. And Matt, maybe you want to say hello as well.
Yes, can do. I'm sorry. I'm cooking right now as we're doing this. Full transparency. But yeah, my name's Matt Forth. I'm a cooperative developer with Keystone Development Center. I work with Noemi, Autumn, Hannah, who are on the call, and Ron, who's not here. I'll just do a quick shout out. Anthony, the group talking about is Keystone Tree Crops Cooperative. I've been leading that project, and it's been a lot of fun. They are multi-stakeholder, and they're currently building out their worker member class, but they have a fully fledged producer class that's functioning right now, which is cool. But yeah, I'd love to connect with you and talk because I know one of the owners is in DC, so you guys could probably meet up or something. So I'll just end there. Thanks.
This is like truly my favorite thing about being in cooperative spaces, because anytime anybody's like, I'm doing a co-op for this, somebody in the room is like, I know somebody else that's doing a co-op for that, because cooperators connect with each other. That's a big part, I think, of what makes this work and what makes it possible for us to continue growing this ecosystem across the entire United States and really across the entire world. I think maybe we'll just, in the interests of kind of keeping us moving, maybe we'll kind of come back and Dami and I can talk a little bit about our organizations and about the way that we are able to engage with co-ops that are looking for capital. You all have a couple different kinds of cooperatives that are represented in the room, but there are going to be some things that are going to be really sort of consistent that we're going to look for across all the different kinds of borrowers, all the different kinds of cooperatives. So I don't know, Dami, do you want to start? Do you want to talk a little bit about NCB, the products that you all, that the bank is able to provide for co-ops, and just what you look for from new projects that are coming forward to build a relationship with the bank?
Yes, thank you very much. I just looked at the time now and I was like, oh my goodness, it's 6:23, and we've not done anything major. So I'm gonna try and keep it very short so that we can have enough time to either answer questions or connect. And one takeaway that I want everybody to have on the call is we have started this conversation, right? But we don't have to end it today. So I'm going to send my email in the chat right now so that in case you need any questions or is anything you want done, please reach out. Today shouldn't be the last day that would have a conversation about whatever it is that you want to talk about. Like Kate was talking about, co-ops are great people. Cooperators are great people. We do this thing, most of us do this thing and we like doing it. It's not forced. It's not, oh, you have to, we want to do this. So I'm going to say there might be questions after. We might not have enough time because we have 36 minutes and I'm still wasting time talking about the things that we shouldn't be talking about. But please reach out after this if you have any questions. So I'm going to talk about what we offer and then a little bit of what we're looking for. First thing is, I just think about it, everybody knows what a bank is. So we are a full-fledged bank. What does that mean? That means we can offer everything a Bank of America can do, but in the light. They are on the dark side. I lowered my voice a little bit, but we are cooler than Bank of America. We can do everything that they do, but a little bit better and with a heart. I say that because I used to work with Bank of America before, and I was just tired of being a factory worker, because that's essentially what you are. You get your instructions. You don't have to think about it. Just go and do what we told you to do. Literally. Everybody's a number, whether you're an employee or a customer. Sorry, whether you're an internal customer or an external customer, you were kind of like a number, right? No heart, nothing. So I said I had to go find something else that had a heart. And somebody said to me, "Oh, there's this crazy little bank in DC." Then I was in Michigan. Um, that would that has a heart, and that's why I came here. Didn't know a lot about co-ops, but now I'm here 17 years later on. Products that we offer, we do commercial real estate loans, business term loans, lines of credit. We do SBA loans or government guaranteed loans, so BIA, um, anything that has to do with a guarantee from the government, whether it's local, state, federal. We also offer cash management, do normal consumer banking, so deposits, residential mortgages. We also do funding with tax credits, so like new market tax credits. It's one of the areas that we work in. Now, what do we look for? I'm going to use a couple of co-ops that I just worked with recently. To kind of like buttress what I'm about to talk about. So we're not strangers to the fact that co-ops don't have guarantors because they're not individual owners, right? What we look for is the ability for you to be in a place where you're wanted. So for instance, if you want to start a consumer co-op, we will want to see that you have people that are members of your co-op. I had a customer recently that, you know, they were trying to get their organization going, and when I saw the amount of support from the local government, the state government, the community, I had no choice but to come in here and fight and find a way. Again, we were created to find innovative solutions to financing cooperatives. That was the first loan that we did that had an SBA guarantee, because technically we wouldn't have been able to do it without a guarantee, which means SBA is the behemoth in DC that guarantees startup loans. That was the first loan ever guaranteed by the SBA, ever co-op loan guaranteed by the SBA. And I say that because what pushed me was the fact that these guys had a lot of support. A traditional bank will look for the 5 C's of credit: character, capacity, capital, collateral. I think the last one is conditions and stuff like that, you know. But for us, we'll look for all of those things, but then we'll look for communication. We'll look for collaboration. We'll want you to start having a conversation with NCB or your lender way before the capital is needed. So right now we're on the phone, we're having a conversation, we're on Zoom, sorry, we're having a conversation. We're talking about the ideas that you're percolating in your co-ops. Share with your lender, share with the person that you want to work with, so that at the end of the day, they are maybe not necessarily your coordinator or your co-op member, but they know as much as needs to be known in the system, so they can come back here or go back to their organizations and advocate for you like they were doing it like they were building it with you from the start. All those that have done that kind of collaboration or that kind of communication, for me, at least, it was easy for me to sell it at the bank. It was easy for me to say, you know what, they have XYZ and they've been doing this. It came as natural as possible because, first of all, they carried me along, and secondly, I was part of the communication. I signed up for everything that they were sending out, the newsletters. I told somebody recently, I was at a gathering on Saturday, the Neighborhood Food Co-op Association in Greenfield, Massachusetts. And, you know, we're having a conversation. I said, I don't know how many co-ops I am a member of, you know? because every time a co-op is being formed, I am passionate about it and I join the co-op. But unfortunately, where I live, there are no co-ops around me, so I don't shop at any co-op. Bad, I know, but I'm a member of at least 10 co-ops, at least 10 food co-ops, just food co-ops, you know? And I'm not member like, oh, just join. I'm a paid member. And the reason why I brought that up is because when I'm evaluating your request for a loan, not only do I look at the number of members, but I also look at the zip code of the members. And I do that because that helps me determine how many people will come and shop at your store. Because I've seen co-ops that got a lot of donations or a lot of money from outsiders and outside investors. So they were able to open the shop, but they were not able to continue the store because nobody came in to shop. So I will stop there. I know that might be a lot, but again, I'm here so that we can continue the conversation. But the 5 C's of credit is what we look for. As a co-op, I look for collaboration and communication after the regular 5 C's. Kate?
Yeah, that was great. And I think, you know, so Seed Commons looks for a lot of the same things as NCB does. So Seed Commons is I mentioned this, we're a CDFI, we're a nonprofit lender. We're not federally there's some federal regulation, but we're not a bank. We're not a bank, we're not a credit union, we're a nonprofit lender, which gives us a fair amount of flexibility to do very creative approaches to financing. So we're a lender, but our loans tend to work a little bit more like an investment. It's kind of a somewhere in between investment and lending. It's debt in the sense of it's a loan. The expectation is that it's going to be paid back. But it's a loan that behaves like equity or investment in the sense that the loan doesn't get paid back unless the business is profitable, unless the business is profitable enough to return enough revenue to cover its overhead, to cover its cost of materials, to cover the cost of labor, make sure the workers or the members are getting paid. And only if it's able to do that does the loan ever repay. But it's not equity in the sense of we don't take an ownership stake in your business. So we work predominantly with worker-owned cooperatives. Worker co-ops are what we were created to support. Seed Commons actually came out of some of the struggles that my co-op and a number of other co-ops around the sort of southeastern part of the US and the mid-Atlantic were having, trying to find financing that would actually work for us. Because something that I think you need to know about being a cooperative, being a cooperator, hoping to move something forward and starting on the journey of looking for financing is that traditional banks have no idea how to work with co-ops. They're very, very confused by the notion that you would have 12 equal owners who might have differing levels of personal collateral or personal credit or things like that, right? Most traditional banks, like Dami said, are kind of, it's sort of like the dark side of finance, right? They're created to exclude people from access to the capital that they need to get to a level of economic sovereignty where they have a sustainable life. If you don't already have access to capital, or you don't already have access to collateral, or you haven't had the privilege of growing up and being taught how to become credit worthy, or you've been excluded from credit security, it's really, really, really hard for you to get a loan, right? We all understand how that works and how that excludes people. from access to resources, there's an added dimension of cooperative lending because banks really don't want to have to deal, most banks, traditional banks, don't want to have to deal with 12 different people's social security numbers, credit scores, personal collateral, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so a lot of co-ops end up either being denied access to the financing that they need, if they're not in a place where they have access to a cooperative lender, or they have to make what sometimes is a really, really hard choice to choose 2 people or 3 people out of their cooperative who are going to be the guarantors for the loan, right? The people who are going to sign the paperwork on behalf of the co-op. And then that suddenly interjects an imbalance into your beautiful cooperative structure where everyone is horizontal, everyone is equal, 1 member, 1 vote. Suddenly you have some people in that cooperative who have more to lose because they're the ones who put their collateral up. They're the ones who put their credit up or at risk. And it just is antithetical to the way that we want and need our cooperatives to work, right? Democratic ownership can only be democratic if we equally share the burden and we equally share the benefits of that ownership. So organizations like NCB, organizations like Seed Commons were created to try and find ways to work around this, to take creative approaches to financing cooperatives. Because our loans are paid back if and only if the business is successful, which means there's no required monthly payment, you pay a profit share, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We do a really, really, really heavily relationship-based form of lending, which means that I would echo what Dami said, which is we don't want to hear from cooperatives when they have everything perfect and everything figured out. If you have everything perfect and everything figured out, and you are just starting a relationship with a lender, it's like too late. It's like too late because nothing is ever perfect. And there is always something that's going to need to get tweaked or revised. And when you have outside eyes, especially people who are really experienced looking at businesses, coming in and taking a look at your business plan and your financial plan and your feasibility studies, they're always going to notice things. And that's good. It's good to have that outside feedback. But sometimes it can be a setback because you've spent so long putting that together, not knowing exactly what your lender was going to be looking for, not knowing exactly the way that they were going to be responding to it, not knowing what they were going to be prioritizing and reviewing your materials. It ends up really, really, really pushing your time frame out. So we try really, really hard to start working with potential cooperatives, potential borrowers as early as we possibly can. So for us, we do that through a network of local partners. So Seed Commons itself is an investment fund. We're a lender. All of our loans are made through a local partner. And if you go to, I'll plug our website in the chat, but if you go to our website, you can actually look to see where all of those local partners are. There's 40 of them spread out all across the country. In this region, there's one in Philadelphia, there's one in Baltimore, there's one in DC. So we're kind of, we're scattered around all over the place. We have some that work across much larger like regions rather than just working in a particular city. And we provide essentially like full service cooperative development support. So kind of like KDC does, right? We'll work with really early stage projects and we'll provide support through the lending, like through the process of building your cooperative, everything from how do you incorporate and how do you govern and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we do all of that. And what that does for us is give us a really intimate sense of who the workers are, how the workers work together, how they engage with community, how they handle conflict, how they handle setback. And that gives us a really, really solid sense of what projects are actually going to be able to stick with it, because small business is hard and co-ops are even harder than regular small businesses because you have so many relationships that you have to manage inside of your cooperative, right? So we look for that. We look for really strong teams, strong relationship management. And then, of course, we also look for a strong business plan, a strong financial plan, and just feasibility, right? We want to know, why do you think this is going to work? And the answer can't be, well, here's these industry statistics, right? The answer has to be, well, I think this is going to work because there's a cafe 3 miles down the road, and I went and I sat there and I counted how many customers came through the door, and I used that to help inform my projections of what I think my cafe is going to do. A lot of times, lenders, investors, banks, they'll use business plans and financial plans as a barrier, right? So you'll show it a bank and they'll say, well, where's your business plan? And what they really mean is something that's like a big 40-page document. Probably you had it professionally prepared, or you spent a lot of time putting that together. And it's really not all that valuable. People I know who have 60-page business plans very rarely refer back to those 60-page business plans, right? They're things that you create in order to get a loan or to get financing, and then it's completely useless to you. And chances are the bank official didn't actually read it. They just kind of flipped through it looking for the bottom line. What we try and prioritize is getting at the same things, making sure that you have a really strong understanding of your business, a really strong understanding of what it takes for your business to be financially sustainable, and a really strong sense of what the indicators are that you need to be looking at for your business to be successful. But we do it by kind of gamifying it. We create really, really simple tools. We create a lot of visual tools that people can use, so that you can accomplish what a business plan accomplishes in 60 pages with one piece of paper that has boxes in it that you can fill out, right? We use a business model canvas. We didn't invent that. It's something that comes out of business development, planning and entrepreneurship spaces. But we find it's really, really valuable for co-ops because it's something that your team can do together. And I'll also put a link. We have some of these tools collected on the website of our Baltimore Cooperative Development Organization. It's called the Baltimore Roundtable for Economic Democracy. And we have all those tools available there. So I'll link that as well, because these are really, really useful things to kind of jumpstart the business planning process. The last thing I'll say is that for Seed Commons, we don't look at personal credit. We don't look at personal credit. We also don't take collateral interest in businesses as a whole. If we buy a piece of property, we'll take a collateral interest in the property. But if we're giving general operating support or money for wages or things like that, we don't put a lien on the business itself. Again, the reason we don't do that is that we feel like we don't need to, because we invest really heavily in the relationship building. And the borrowers that I work with, like, I'm really proud of the fact that when something goes wrong in their business, I'm usually the first person they call instead of the last person that they call. And I know, having had loans before from institutions that were not NCB and that were not Seed Commons, that you don't call your lender if there's a problem, right? Like, you don't want the lender to know that there's a problem or that you're struggling or that something might be going wrong, because you're terrified that they're going to come and take your stuff, or they're going to come in and shut you down. And instead, what we've tried to do is really change that relationship, and make sure that that people have the support that they need. And I'll say that this is true of most of the co-op lenders. We're pretty lucky that we have an emerging cooperative funding ecosystem across the United States, of really, really, really dedicated people who care really deeply about making sure that co-ops have access to capital. So you all who are coming into co-ops now, you're coming into a dramatically different ecosystem than existed when I started doing this 20 years ago. There are a lot of resources. There are a lot of good funders out there that are doing really, really serious work to rethink how we approach lending and supporting cooperatives. So maybe we'll leave it there. We've got 15 minutes. And I think we can open it up for questions from you all. You can ask us like big questions. You can ask us super nitty-gritty questions. They can be general, they can be about your own businesses or co-ops. So, you know, open floor for y'all. What can we answer for you?
So we're not, sorry, we're not going to close at 7 if we don't have 5 questions. That's the plan. So if you want to leave at 7, let's start the questions early. Anthony, what's your question?
I guess yeah, we're so early in our like ideation phase right now. We already kind of had incorporated in like 2023 as just like an LLC between me and like my friend. We had like even before that been doing like fundraisers, and we're like kind of just trying to figure out what our like work was. So we like worked with like schools. More recently today, we were talking to like a nature center that would want to maybe be like where we have like greenhouse and like another like kind of node for, you know, getting trees to other properties. So it's sort of like figuring out more and more like who will be the members, how do you bring on members, and all those other types of questions that I am trying to figure out. And I just think I feel like it's like super early on in our stage. So we've been recently to the Baltimore Impact Hub, and I think that we might want to go there again and try to like see how our business model should really shape up. Because again, I feel like I'm learning more and more tools or like ways to rethink like my minor in entrepreneurship. And it's really awesome. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, there's been a lot of like hard fought one movement in this space. So it's cool. Thank you. But yeah, I have no idea what to even ask. It's like
I mean, I think, listen, I think you're starting at the right place, which is you're going out and learning. And I don't think you ever go wrong with that. And Matt has already reached out that you should connect. I totally agree with him.
definitely.
I think Matt has a couple of co-ops that he can talk to you about. So I think you're doing the right thing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm like over here taking a lot of notes, so 2 monitors is really helpful for like learning all this. It's really nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. Lacey. You're muted, Lacey.
All right, can you hear me? Is audio on? All right. So Common Roots actually started grassroots style. So the funding for the first home purchased, it was actually by donations that they had raised in about a week. Right now, our executive director, Julie, has been applying for different grants. So financially funding, we're getting recruiting people to then qualify for loans. So one of the things is just helping people if they have maybe a lower credit score, a way that they could increase that. I'm just actually really learning since this is my first time in the cooperative setting work environment. It was nice, the conference that I attended, there were people from Hawaii all the way to Maine. So kind of getting the different ideas. I know one thing is like group coordinator, just to be very with like a member what it is and that they understand, so it's not anything like hidden or surprised. The nice thing about this is that to help people stay there longer and take pride in their home. Also the community is like James had mentioned, after 10 years like $10,000. There's also after 4 years $4,000. So if someone wanted to continue education or purchase a vehicle, they could then have the funds to do that. Our area in Meadville, there hasn't been new construction. So the homes though that are outdated, to repair, it can be very costly. So kind of trying to get a feel for the best way to be energy efficient, sustainable housing, but also then have the funding so that we can continue to do this. So I don't have like kind of as Anthony, not like a specific, I'm just really trying to learn. I know that I'm eager to learn. So like with these sessions, I hope to be able to get like a little piece after each one. I like how you also said though, rather than be just like a number, it's actually the relation like with the person. That is the thing, is then kind of like getting to the heart of what things are about. So
that, I mean, two things I want to say real quickly is I think you're doing the right thing, especially because I was going with the permission of a group, I'm going to share a quick slide of how, you know, we raise capital, right? How co-ops raise capital. I have a slide that I think it's like just phenomenal. Just talking, it's a pictorial, it's a visual thing that talks about everything. And then the second thing is, you know, it's all about relationships. It's all, when Kate said that, I was like, so Kate, why are we not friends again? I'm joking. Kate is my people. I mean, we're in the same area, but it's all about relationships. And one of the things that I think that anybody here should take away from this training is, or this conversation is, just collaborate with the person, talk to the person, inform them. You know, it's not going to hurt you. It's, let them know. Lenders hate one thing, they hate surprises. That's the one thing I know, they hate surprise. Oh my goodness, why did you tell me? You know? So you're absolutely right. Just, I didn't like being a number. If I'm trying to lend somebody money now, how would I want to treat them like a number? I know I didn't like being a number. So let me quickly share my screen for half a minute, and then you guys see it yet? If you can see, let me know.
Yeah, we
Yep,
can see it now.
Okay, so this is essentially how I think, you know, all the funds, oh, sorry, come in, right? This is how, you know, Kate was talking about debt that acts like equity, you know, she was talking about, I mean, that's if you see the arrow here, it's like debt is from banks and credit unions and CDFI and mission-based loan funds, right, on the right. And then on the left, what you get is like, you get money. Lacey was just talking about friends and family and all of that good stuff. That's crowdfunding. That's where you get the money from. Foundations and government, and, you know, you're also talking about grants. You get grants from like foundations and government, and also from like impact investors, local, state, and federal government. So this to me talks about where you get your capital from. Donations and grants from like family, friends, and all of that good stuff. The common stock from your members, preferred stock from your members, subordinated loans from like CDFIs, other banks, and then senior loans from like conventional banks, or, you know, the senior lenders. So I want to just share that real quickly. That is something that I think you should take away from this and think about it. Like, this is where I can raise funds from when we need it to fund our co-op. Kate, back to you.
Well, I was gonna say something that we've been working. I mentioned this. We were founded to work with worker-owned cooperatives because small businesses have a particularly hard time getting financing because they often don't have collateral that can be used to secure a loan. So it's already a tough form of loan to get, and it's even harder when you throw in the cooperative component and you don't have a personal guarantor, or a single personal guarantor, or somebody putting their house up to get money to start a new business. But in recent years, we've started also working with real estate cooperatives and with housing cooperatives, in part because we came to an understanding at a certain point that for us, it's not enough to make sure that workers have sustainable, dignified jobs where they own the means of production. It's also that they need to have safe, dignified, sustainable housing, right? They need to have access to all the things that go into being in a truly sort of stable environment. And so the jobs weren't enough. We had to actually start looking at housing as well. And that's why we started financing some housing work. It's not our bread and butter. It's not what we do the most. We have a small portion of our portfolio that's real estate lending. But the real estate lending that we do is interesting because we don't lend to individuals. What we do is lend to cooperatives. We provide the capital for the cooperatives to acquire the piece of real estate. And then the cooperatives themselves use the capital that we provide to provide loans for people to be able to buy in, right? So essentially like that member share financing or that member buy-in financing. And I find that that is something that is a real challenge. We have a project in Baltimore that we work with, South Baltimore Community Land Trust. And they are building affordable green housing, some of the only fully passive affordable housing in the United States, in this really kind of environmentally destroyed area of Baltimore in the south of the city. And this is the big challenge that they have right now, right? So they got financing to do their construction, but what they can't do is figure out how to actually get the people who are going to be buying these homes, who are all just poor Black folks in South Baltimore, because they don't have the right credit scores, and they have a bank that is their financing partner, but the bank isn't able to, or just won't, relax the credit score requirements to a point where any of the residents of this neighborhood in South Baltimore can qualify to get the loans. And these are like $175,000 loans. They're not huge amounts. And so we're trying to solve that problem right now. We're trying to figure out how do we do this? Can we give a loan to South Baltimore Community Land Trust and let them create their own home ownership financing program, so that they can do the relationship-based lending to make sure that people have a pathway into these homes in the land trust once they're completed. So I'll just lift up for those of you that are doing housing related work. There are some extra challenges, especially if you're working with residents who are deemed bad credit risks by traditional financing institutions. And that's a problem that I think we have to be able to figure out how to solve on a national scale.
All right. That's great. I have two things. We're lucky that we're working with the USDA for the 502 loans. I just went through the course to be able to do 502 loans for our folks, which is really great because they can put interest down to 1% and base it on their income. However, they still do need decent credit. It's the want to repay. If they don't pay their debts, they're not going to give them a loan because they don't want to repay. But I would definitely be interested in like working with you guys and how we can work that out, because we're that who knows what's going on with the government right now and if that program's going to last. But also I wanted to ask Dami, you said you were like a regular bank, so can I put my money in like a checking and savings account there? Can because banks use the people's money to fund their projects. So like, can I switch banks? Because I hate traditional banks. Like I use cash everywhere, money goes in the bank to pay the bills and then I use cash. So like, can I put my money in your bank and you guys can use it for good?
So James, I want to reach across and give you a hug right now. And the reason is because on Saturday, March 15th, I went to a group of co-ops and I said, you know, the only way, especially in this times, the only way that we can be better is to come together and do, and do things together. We talk about Principle 6 all the time, but we talk about it, but we don't act it, I have a kind of like a small charge in my head now to make sure that I reach out to co-ops first to see, hey, what can we do together to make sure that we're pushing our values, all the things that we talk about. Co-ops are always in the lead. They're always first. We've started thinking about environment before environment became a big thing, Just look at the principles, the co-op principles. So I say all of this to say, yes, you can bank with us, and we made it so convenient. You can do it online. I think we are currently represented in 13 states, but we only have branches in Ohio. But this is 2025. Again, co-ops can do anything any other bank can do, so you don't have to be physically present in a branch. We can take care of you wherever and whenever you are. Yes, so my long answer is to say yes, and we are more than able to handle your accounts, whichever way you want to do it. So I will. Can you okay. Autumn just sent you a link in the chat, but you could also send me. Oh, by the way, I was going to send my information. So I'll send my information. You could also send me an email and I'll follow up with you.
Perfect. That's awesome.
Well, you all were right at 7 o'clock. So maybe this is a good opportunity to pass it back to the KDC folks for any last words you all wanna share into the space. I'll put my contact info in the chat as well if you all want to follow up.
Thank you so much, Kate and Dami. Would folks be okay with us taking a screenshot just to commemorate us being here? Yeah, woohoo! Autumn, are you on it? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so this is a series that we just got kicked off tonight. Again, many thanks to our presenters, Dami and Kate, and to the Cooperative Development Foundation for funding the series. So we're going to be doing it just every 2 weeks at 6 p.m. For a total of 7, and you're very welcome. If you want a $15 food voucher, email Hannah and get in touch. And yeah, if you come up with questions afterwards that you want to share with the presenters, then please be in touch with us, Autumn or Noemi, and we'll make sure, or directly with Dami and Kate, since they put their emails in the chat. And yeah, thank you very much. We did not set up any kind of a feedback form, but just, yeah. How about some thumbs up if this was good?
And if
All
you've
right,
got
and if
specific
there's-
feedback, you can, get in touch with us.
Yeah.
It was our first session, so we'd love to hear it. Thanks.
Yeah, anything that could improve it or that you're looking forward to, just be in touch. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, everybody.
Guys.
Thanks for
Wishing you
attending.
lots of luck. Bye.
Take care,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Maybe we can stop the recording.
Yep, good call.